Young Lyra, a royal scribe in the mighty citadel of Mycenae, witnesses the catastrophic fall of her civilization. As the city burns around her, her dying mentor, Nestor, entrusts her with an ancient vellum scroll bearing a serpent insignia. "It holds the secret of eternal rise and fall," he whispers. Lyra flees the ruins, carrying this cryptic knowledge into the chaos of the Dark Age. Lyra boards a Phoenician merchant ship, navigating the dangerous, uncertain waters of the Aegean. She begins the arduous task of deciphering the scroll. It reveals a chilling historical pattern, not just the downfall of Mycenae, but also the cyclical collapses of ancient powers in Mesopotamia and Egypt. The scroll posits that all golden ages carry the seeds of their own destruction through internal rigidity. Lyra lands on the coast of Ionia, western Anatolia, settling in a small, new colony established by refugees. These pioneers are forced to adopt communal governance due to their sheer distance from the old kings and the scarcity of resources. Lyra sees this small, democratic seedling, the Polis, as the only hope against the patterns detailed in the scroll. Lyra travels to a growing settlement that is rapidly transitioning from a primitive village into a formal city-state. She observes the tension as the old warrior class loses its influence to the collective voice of the farmers and artisans. This shift represents the crucial move away from inflexible hierarchy toward decentralized power. The young community faces a debilitating famine. Drawing upon her Mycenaean education and the scroll, Lyra introduces ancient techniques for soil management and crop rotation known to the earlier empires. Her intervention saves the harvest, proving that knowledge, and its flexible application, is the true foundation of survival. Lyra meets Ariston, an early philosopher, who debates the nature of rule. He argues that the longevity of a state depends on its capacity for self-critique. Lyra, sharing the scroll's history, realizes that the philosopher's question, "Why do we rule?" is the true antidote to the fatal arrogance that felled her ancestors. Lyra finally unlocks the scroll's deepest secret. It is not a set of predictions, but a historical algorithm. It confirms that every civilization falls when its governing principles become too divine, too permanent, or too focused on enriching a ruling elite. This knowledge is both a warning and a blueprint for a new society. The emerging polis is threatened by a tyrannical warlord from a neighboring region seeking to restore the old kingly ways. Lyra chooses to reveal the scroll's core warnings to the public assembly. United by the pursuit of an idea, the idea of collective freedom, the citizens fiercely defend their fledgling state. Following the victory, Lyra and Ariston work to codify the polis's laws. Their objective is to prevent the rigid cycles of the past. They create a system where the rule of law is paramount, ensuring power is shared and temporary, thereby building an adaptable system ready for the challenges of the future. And her old age, Lyra reflects on her life. She did not seek personal immortality, but she ensured the continuity of her knowledge. She deposits the Serpent Scroll in the polis's great archive. Her final thought is that the history of humanity is an incomplete book, constantly being updated. The fate of the polis rests on its ability to keep adding new, humble pages. Decades pass. The polis, now named Ethel, thrives. Its harbor is bustling, philosophy flourishes, and the initial warnings of the scroll have softened into mere wisdom. Ethel becomes the cultural beacon of the Greek world, leading to unprecedented civic pride and wealth. A vast, militarized empire rises in the east, analogous to Persia. This external threat forces Ethel to confront the limitations of its ideals. The polis must choose, remain a philosophical center or become a war machine capable of defending the Greek world. The combined Greek forces achieve a heroic, albeit costly, victory against the Eastern Empire at a narrow mountain pass. This success confirms Ethel's belief in its own supremacy. The victory, while securing freedom, breeds an arrogance that soon becomes the civilization's greatest internal threat. Intoxicated by victory, Ethel begins to demand tribute from its allied city-states, effectively turning allies into subjects. Slavery expands rapidly to support the new economic boom. The founding ideals of freedom and equality are compromised for the sake of imperial power, directly violating the spirit of the scroll. The Greek world splits between Ethel, representing naval, commercial power and democracy, and a rival, Spartan-like Polis, representing land-based military might and rigid order. Lyra's descendants and the rival leaders exchange accusations, each claiming their interpretation of the scroll's original intent is the true one. Devastating, protracted conflict erupts between the two leading polis, analogous to the Peloponnesian War. Fought by citizens against citizens, the war destroys the moral and economic fabric of the Greek world. It proves Lyra's warning, Internal corruption is more destructive than any external enemy. Amidst the wartime paranoia in a weakened Ethel, a successor to Ariston is accused of impiety and corrupting the youth by encouraging critical thought. Sentenced to death by the weary, fear-driven assembly, he accepts his fate. The poisoning symbolizes the death of reason and the final betrayal of the Polis's founding philosophical principle. Exhausted and morally bankrupt from the internal war, the Greek city-states are unprepared for the rise of a powerful, unified kingdom in the north, analogous to Macedonia. This new kingdom operates under a single, decisive monarchy, contrasting sharply with the fragmented Polis system. The northern king's son, Alexander Analog, crushes the remaining Greek resistance, ending the age of the independent Polis. He absorbs the Greek world into a new, vast Hellenistic empire. The Serpent Scroll is taken as a trophy of war and added to the new king's royal collection. Lyra's scroll is moved to the new center of learning, the Great Library of Alexandria. Scholars studying it realize that the warning was not just about Mycenae, but about the Polis and indeed, all subsequent empires. The story ends with a scholar looking at the scroll, realizing that even this vast new Hellenistic empire is merely the next, temporary stage in the eternal cycle. The knowledge endures, waiting for the next civilization to either heed or ignore its timeless wisdom.